Fragile and still hanging in the balance. A furious Donald Trump today said the ceasefire he declared official at 6 a.m. this morning has been violated by both Iran and Israel. But in comments to reporters, he reserved his harshest criticism for Israel, closing them with an expletive.
You know, when I say, OK, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
It was late last night that Trump in his trademark capitals posted, "Congratulations to everyone. There will be a complete and total ceasefire. An official end to the 12-day war will be saluted by the world." But there was still time for both sides to launch a last volley of attacks. In Beersheba in southern Israel, at least 4 people were killed by an Iranian missile. And in Iran, Israel launched a pre-dawn blitz, killing 9, including a nuclear scientist, according to local officials. But the sky fell silent just after 4 a.m., with Iranian state TV repeating its foreign minister's position, stopping just shy of a cast-iron ceasefire, announcing instead it would stop if Israel stopped.
Mr. Aragchi said there is currently no agreement on a ceasefire or a halt to operations. However, on the condition that the Israeli regime stops its illegal offensive against the Iranian people by 4 a.m. in Tehran, we also have no intention of continuing to respond.
At 6 a.m, Trump took to social media again to declare a ceasefire official. Do not violate it, he warned. The ceasefire is now in effect. But within hours, Israel's defense minister announced Iran had done just that, and that Israel would respond with intense strikes against regime targets. After telling journalists this morning he had to get Israel to, quote, calm down, Trump wrote on Truth Social that its planes would turn around and head home while doing, he said, a friendly plane wave to Iran. Today, as the NATO summit opens in The Hague, the end of what Trump calls and hopes will be the 12-day war hangs in the balance, with European leaders holding their breath over the past few days' escalations. After the US joined the conflict directly on the weekend, hitting 3 Iranian nuclear facilities, Iran responded yesterday with a strike on America's largest military base in the Middle East, Al Udeid in Qatar, one that was largely symbolic, with no casualties, and the US warned in advance. Iran's is a leadership diminished, depleted, and looking for a revenge that will save face without triggering a response. Last night, its supreme leader in hiding, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, posted on X a well-worn adage of the past fortnight. Those who know the Iranian people and their history, he said, know that the Iranian nation isn't one that surrenders. The US claims it's neutralized Iran's nuclear capabilities, one of Israel's stated aims when it launched the war. So said Vice President J.D. Vance as he spoke on American television last night, moments after Trump announced a ceasefire.
Well, we were actually working on that just as I left the White House to come over here, so that's good news that the president was able to get that across the finish line. I think what it means, Brett, is quite simple. First of all, the president, without, knock on wood, having a single American casualty, obliterated the Iranian nuclear program. We are now in a place where we weren't a week ago.
But others aren't so confident that Iran's nuclear aims are obliterated. Its leadership claims to have moved some of its enriched uranium to a secret location before those nuclear sites were struck. Today, France's President Macron said that negotiations with Iran must continue to stop what he called clandestine nuclear enrichment. Negotiations that collapsed when Israel launched its attack on Tehran 12 days ago, and which now look increasingly fragile.
Joining us now is Dr Meir Javedanfar, Iran lecturer at the Reichman University in Tel Aviv. Doctor, can you tell us, is this an error by Iran? Is this an accident or deliberate, do you think? The ceasefire has only been going for around an hour. What do you think this means now this has happened for the ceasefire?
Unfortunately, you know, when the two antagonistic sides we have, especially Iran and Israel, it's not easy to establish ceasefire since the two countries have been, well, Iran declared proxy war against Israel in 1991. And the current war has not, Iran has not fared well in the current war. And it's very important for the Iranian leadership to look like the winning side before this war ends, because it could have ramifications at home and abroad. And I think this is one of the reasons why the Iranians would like to be the last side to fire a missile in order to preserve their deterrence image in the future and to also to back their narrative at home.
How weakened do you think Iran is? Is there a chance that this just pushes their nuclear aspirations underground?
Well, Anya, that really depends how accurate the intelligence of the Mossad and the CIA is. If they were sure if they're sure about knowing what Iran does, then I think that bombing these sites would enable Israel to know that the Iranian nuclear program has been set back. Some people say now by 2 years, by 5 years, without the risk of centrifuges turning up in an unknown place, and while with enriched uranium and Iran making a nuclear bomb. So I think the amount of unknown knowns has to be very limited in this case, and I think I can say with reasonable confidence that the recent operation was undertaken against Iran's nuclear program, knowing that it would be difficult for Iran to hide additional nuclear sites.
And you're in Israel. What's the mood like there over this situation?
Difficult, 12 days we've been being woken up twice a night by missile attacks. I'm a native of Tehran myself. I'm used to, my childhood was spent during the Iran-Iraq war. And now my children in Israel, they've had to go to bomb shelters twice a night, and children across Israel. It's been a hard war. We've seen houses demolished. Iran's missiles are very powerful. We are very lucky to have defenses against them. Unlike the war in Gaza, Anya, what's interesting is that 70% of Israelis polled were against the continuation of the war in Gaza, whereas 70% of Israelis actually support the current war against Iran. So there is support across the board between the opposition and the government, which is something very rare in Israel these days. But I think people are going to welcome the ceasefire, first and foremost, if it holds, and second of all, if it leads to a stronger sense of security, meaning no more missile attacks and Iran's nuclear program not reaching the levels it reached prior to this attack.
As someone who grew up in Tehran and someone that now lives in Israel, is your feeling that this is the end of the beginning or the beginning of the end?
Of the Islamic Republic?
No, of this war in itself.
Oh no, this is the start of the beginning. This is going to come back again. I wanted to see, in an ideal world, this war ending up in a nuclear agreement between Iran and Trump. A nuclear agreement that would make sure that Iran's enrichment program is removed so that it no longer poses a threat. To be honest with you, Anya, I'm very surprised that President Trump ended the war this early. And I think both sides are now going to go back. They're going to try to rearm Iran and Israel. First of all, it's very painful for me because as an Iranian Israeli, I would love to see peace between the two countries. But unfortunately, I think because of domestic security concerns and because of the strategy of the Islamic Republic, they're going to rebuild again. But this time, Israel has control over Iran's skies because Israel eliminated much of Iran's anti-aircraft systems. So I think this is the start of the beginning. Iran, over the years, is going to rearm itself, and Israel is going to attack again.
And in Iran itself, what do you think will happen there? Do you think the supreme leader is weakened by this?
He's weakened, but he's not out. He still has the monopoly of power. His monopoly of power is far more than anything that the opposition has. It's very difficult to challenge it. And I think for now, Iranians are just too busy trying to survive the economic conditions of the war. Life in Iran was difficult before the war, with the housing inflation at 84%, food inflation at 50%. Now inflation is even higher. So Iranians are, in the short term, going to be too busy trying to survive. In the medium to long term, I think there's a lot of people in Iran who are going to condemn the regime's aggressive policy, which has brought it nothing but enemies in this region. And if there's going to be a revolution, first we have to wait and see if people are going to be willing to go to the streets. If you have hundreds of thousands of Iranians turning up to the streets every day for weeks on end, then I think that would be the beginning of the end. We're not there yet.
Dr. Javedanfar, thank you very much.
Thank you.